Welcome to the Church Answers podcast. We have been having fun. I know I've been having fun. And yes, he's my son. He's my youngest of three sons. He's my pastor. Yes, he's my pastor. Yes, his favorite parent is my wife, not me. So his favorite church member is Nellie Jo, not me. But this information has been so golden. It's just nuggets. It really is. Our guest that I'm interviewing is my son, Jess Rainer. He has a new book out called How to Launch a New Church Site, 10 Questions Every Leader and Member Must Answer. Wow, that's going to be a good book. I mean, it is a good book, but it's going to be good once it gets in the hands of other people. Welcome back, Jess. You're a pro. You're on episode number 105. I think I said it wrong in the last time, but you're on episode number 105. I'm sure the editors will take care of it, but you've done three in a row. That's pretty good.
First three. It's been a blast. It's been good.
And it's felt like a blast. It's gone so fast to try to get everything in just a little over 10 minutes. We always want to thank our sponsor, Belay, an incredible sponsor that has been with us at Church Answers from the onset of Church Answers. I can tell you stories about the workers that they have provided for us, remote workers. For us, it's always been someone in the EA role, executive assistant or administrator, and that's been the most helpful for us. But they provide bookkeepers and other people as well. Get their new eBook. It's not that new anymore because we've been saying it for a while, but it's called The Power of Productivity by going to THOM at 55123, THOM at 55123. Okay, Jess, as a review, episodes 103 and 104 were respectively about the challenges of starting a new site or new church. 104 was about the rewards of starting a new site or new church. And now we're going to get into the mechanics of starting a new site or new church. And though your book is not necessarily a mechanical book, it has a lot of this content.
When I saw you wanted to talk about the mechanics, it pretty much is the whole book.
It is very good.
So I'm thinking, how do we even begin to scratch the surface with this? Because there are so many aspects from a systems standpoint that go into church planning. But hey, let's give it a shot.
Go for it. The platform is yours. What are some of the mechanics of starting a new site or new church?
Yeah, well, I'm going to start off, and I'm going to make a pop culture reference, which I know you probably won't get it because you're still stuck in the 60s. There is a competition out there, and it's called a Flugtag. And basically what this competition is, you know nothing. I would expect it. People make man-powered airplanes, and they attempt to fly them off about a 30-foot platform into water. I think so many church planners look at church planning like a Flugtag, that they are creating this vessel to launch, but they very rarely think about the long-term effect of church planning. And so I would say at the beginning, if I could summarize everything that from the system standpoint, the mechanics of church planning, you have to have a framework that you are creating a church plant, not for launching, not for launch day, but for the years to come, for the first year, second year, third year. It's vital that you have this kind of mindset, because even though you may be successful at launch, and even though you can ride that wave after launch, very shortly after a few years, if you have not created the systems and the mechanics needed for church planning, the church will begin to bend, potentially break. That's why most church plants fail within 4 years. Exactly. It's because they failed to realize the long-term pioneering aspect of church planning. So that's the overarching. We can drill down a little bit in some of these aspects, but that's the overarching piece. So I guess if I had to say, how do you do that? How do you begin to develop the mechanics? I would encourage every church leader who's starting a new church, whether you're an existing church, whether you're a church planner that's part of a sending church, create all the systems before you launch. What do I mean by that? How are you going to take up the offering? How are you going to get it in the bank? Your bylaws, your constitution. What does your assimilation, your first-time guest follow-up process look like? How are you going to develop disciples? You may be thinking, I need to do all that before I launch. Yes. Because here's what happens. People start coming, and you get busy fast, and they're wanting to know, how do I join a community group? How do I join a small group? Oh, we didn't think about how we're going to get people into a community group. We didn't develop that system. So now you're scrambling to create all these systems that are needed. And so now you can't spend all your time waiting for launch date, but if you can create 80%, that's what I was taught early on as a church planner. When something's 80% ready in church planning, it's 100% ready. And so creating these systems is absolutely vital before you begin to launch, because if not, you're basically shooting for a one-time event and you're going to see the fallout. It won't happen immediately, but it'll happen a lot sooner than you anticipated.
I know you're going to give us some more, but I would love to hear what mechanic was one of the most challenging for you. I'm not going to say it necessarily failed. It goes back to the challenges one, but I want to talk about it in the context of the mechanics.
Small groups, without a shadow of a doubt. Small groups. It is a small group ministry in a whole is difficult. It requires administration. It requires discipleship. It requires leadership development. It's a very robust ministry in of itself. And when you put that inside of a church plant, it can be very cumbersome. And so early on, I mean, we at the Church of Spring Hill started community groups. What's what we call our small groups. Started community groups before we launched. We were going to create that DNA and establish that DNA. I'll be honest, over the years, we haven't given as much attention and things started slipping. And we're in a process right now in year 7, and we have to revamp our whole community group ministry again. It's extensive. So as much time, if you could spend developing your small groups, what's it going to look like? Most importantly, how are you going to develop community group or small group leaders? That is absolutely vital. That if I could, you got to do some of the other things. You got to get the finances. You got to get, your 501c3. You got to do. There's some things you got to do. Community groups, you got to do them as well.
And if you have community groups, you'll have more dedicated givers, more dedicated volunteers, more dedicated evangelists, and I could go down the list. We know that the little church within the bigger congregation creates a greater health in that. Any particular books or resources on groups that you could recommend?
I'm not saying this just because it's a Church Answers resource, but Kevin Mills, his new book, How to Lead a Healthy Small Group, I'm going through that right now, and I'm actually using that book to train up new small group leaders. In fact, I'm probably going to launch 2 to 3 new groups just from spending 8 weeks going through that book. It's absolutely fantastic. It outlines everything you need to get it going, and it's very reproducible and scalable.
He's a smart guy. I love Kevin.
It's a great book.
Yeah, known Kevin for quite a while, and love what he's doing in Georgia. He was a former missionary, and now he's been on the mission field called the United States. I need to let you get back to your mechanics, though, Jess.
Yeah, there's a lot. You could begin to just pick apart all the different things from, what kind of church are you going to be? Is this a church site? Is it a campus? Is it, is there adoption, fostering involved in this? There's that whole piece of the puzzle. There's fundraising. Oh my goodness. We could spend an hour just talking about fundraising. You're going to have to do it as a church planner. Create those systems early on.
You sent out mailers in addition to having it on your digital site.
Oh, yeah. My first church plant, the lead pastor said, "Hey, you're hired. You can join the team." And then he called me the next day, "By the way, I don't have any money for you. You need to go raise your entire salary in the next 3 months." Be prepared as a church planner, someone who's starting a new church site. You got to do the fundraising, no matter what. How you, if denominationally involved, if you're, solo, you got to do that. That's another major aspect. And then there's some of the fun things, picking the name, logos, branding,
so creative,
all those things. Yes, we did. We decided to go for a very creative name, the Church at Spring Hill. And often early on, people were like, what church? I'd say this is called the Church of Spring Hill. What church? It's called the Church of Spring Hill. People finally caught on. But we just call it, there's a biblical precedence that we just followed in naming the church. So, I'm not a hyper creative guy. So it mirrors my personality stuff, but so many different aspects.
I gotta say this, Jess, the name, the Church at Spring Hill, indicates a commitment and dedication to the community that you're serving. And
it does.
Not all those names necessarily do that.
Yeah. So there's a ton of mechanics. I mean, there's all your assimilation systems and logo, branding, fundraising, all those things. And so just develop them as much as you can early on. do as many as you can, especially your small group ministry early on, because you want to get those out of the way as quick as possible. So when ministry comes, when it's time to connect with people and build disciples, create disciples, share Christ, you're ready to go, and you're not scrambling to get some of those other things done.
Well, the name of the book again is How to Launch a New Church Site, 10 Questions Every Leader Member Must Answer. So much of what Jess didn't say is in that book. So we're going to get you to order it as well. We're also going to give away 5 copies of this book. So if you're, you have to be listening or you wouldn't be responding to me. Write hope@churchanswers.com, hope@churchanswers.com. And the first five who email me, I will send you a copy of Jess's new book, How to Launch a New Church Site. Jess, these 3 episodes I know have been extremely fast. They've been quick, but a lot of nuggets in it. So thank
I've
you
enjoyed
for
it.
taking time and away from my grandchildren to come to this, and my grand dog as well. So thank you for being a part of it, Jess.
Glad to be here. Thanks.
And as always, thank you, Belay. Don't forget their download. Get that go to THOM, THOM at 55123, and get the productivity book that they have. Look in the show notes. I'm going to ask Alana to put in the show notes Kevin Mills' book, since Jess brought that up. And just make sure you are getting Jess's book too. Incredible book, whether you are considering a new site, a new church, or you just want to know what it's all about. It's a great book to get. Once again, all 3 downloads are available. So the first one was about the challenges of starting a new church site. Second one was about the rewards. And this one was about the mechanics. You've got the complete series on starting a church in just under 30 minutes. So, boy, we did it. We did it quickly. Thank you, as always, for being a part of the Church Answers podcast. Keep joining us, and we'll see you next week.